All right, everybody, come on in, come on in. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome back to the Wives Club. The Wives Club was started in 2021 when I booked a session with the late, great Kevin Samuels. It wasn't for me. It was because I wanted to give back, and I do believe him when he says the older women should teach the young. So Lucy is my co-host. Lucy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you for having me on. And yes, I am Lucasely Lucy. I have a channel that was basically focusing on teaching Spanish, basic to maybe midpoint. But this year I decided to change the content to make it about anything related to women over 50. So, yeah, I think it's today's topic is going to be really interesting.
Oh my goodness, you all, I was re-listening to this episode and it's almost a painful one for me to do, but it's important. All of Kevin's content to me is important, even though he's no longer with us. His memory lives on, and we will continue reacting to his videos and giving you all a woman's perspective, an older woman's perspective. Thank you, Try Guy Travels, and thank you all for liking the live stream. Okay, so as per usual, I have linked in the description the Kevin Samuels episode we are responding to, and you see it in the title here. Educated woman in the danger zone holds on to a dead end relationship. So if you see me looking down here, I have my, excuse me and forgive me, I'm getting over a cold, my notes and my clips in my phone. So we are going to share our takeaways from the video with you all, and we would love to hear your thoughts. You're always welcome to comment in the chat, or if you ever want to talk to us, I'm dropping the link. You can talk to us on camera or off camera. The choice is always yours. We've got Bella in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, pardon me. So let's break down the title just in case anybody is new to Kevin's content. So he says, educated woman. So if you listen to this episode, and it's a short one, it's only about 15 minutes. I had to listen to it twice. But this woman has a master's degree in whatever it was. I don't know. So she has high school diploma, college bachelor's degree, and master's degree. So she is, I'm a PhD, and she's in a relationship with a man who's a master mechanic. Not that that matters, but that was her relationship. And then in the danger zone, I can hear it now. Danger zone. Kevin had three categories for women as far as timeline when it relates to their viability on the dating marketplace. So a woman in her prime, and this is for marriage and for, family, a woman in her prime is going to be, according to Kevin's time boxing, like 26 and under. You still have that youthfulness and energy. You've got the snapback, and that is prime age if you want to have the most options. The danger zone was the next time block, and that was women from 27 to 35. And I can hear him now saying that's when you need to focus like a laser on the outcomes that you want. Because if you want marriage and family, time is ticking. And then for those of us over 35, we were in what he called no man's land. And Kevin had a way with words, and we've talked about this. Is it completely old? Is it completely over for older women? No, but we do have to be realistic that we are not first choice if a man is marrying for marriage and family. And then the dead end relationship in the title, she had been dating a man and living together for 4 years. So we're going to break down this episode, but before we begin, Lucy, Did you want to add anything to your initial thoughts?
You know, it's interesting because with all the pushback that he got, with people saying that he did not like his community and he did not, all of the negative things, he was always concerned about creating healthy nuclear families. And he made it a point in this one video on how much he cared to preserve the sanctity of a together family. So he gets into it. So this is going to be great to see your perspective and compare and contrast what we got on our notes, because again, I have my notes here, my chicken scratch, and we'll see what happens. Yes.
And I have my clips to scroll. Okay, so again, I'm going to just give you all, you probably know me by now, but just a little bit about my background, because from the Wives Club, we always talk from our lived experience. So you see, I am a former wife. I met my ex-husband right out of high school, my college boyfriend, got engaged and married after school. So I was married at 25. So I did marry in my prime. Two children from the marriage. We had them later after a few years of being together. So I'm a boy mom times two, but I always put myself on the hot seat as a reformed modern woman, that I got caught up in that modern woman mindset, that professional boss babe, I'm going to conquer the world. And unfortunately for me, after 10 years of marriage, it did end in divorce. But I learned from that. I bumped my head and got right back on the horse, because I do come from a traditional nuclear family. And so I strayed. But after that, I got in a relationship with a very traditional man. And my story is somebody that I knew young and loved young, but like men do, they need their time to be men. Life brought us back together. And we've been together, I don't know, 10, 12, 14, whatever it is, years now. And he has said that he doesn't believe, both have been married and have children, he doesn't believe in blending the families. So I was given that information and I had a decision to make. So that is my story. And put a pin in that. I'll tell you why that even matters as we go through this episode. So that's the life and relationship experience that I have. Okay, so let's dig into this one. So I'm looking at my notes here. So again, this woman called in and she is 31 and she's in a 4-year relationship with a man and she's living with him. So that means she met this man when she was 27. Yes, 27. And he had been married and had a child, and he was older than her. I believe he was 39. So she was 31, he was 39. And she called in, I don't know if it was disagreement day or whatever it was. And she was just kind of like blasé about the relationship, kind of like, yeah, we're working on it. There's really no rush. We're learning, we're living, we're kind of growing together, whatever vague thing that she said. And Kevin kind of picked up on that because he was like, wait a minute, at 31, you should be kind of like a little bit more sense of urgency because you are now in the danger zone. You're out of your prime and you're just kind of going with the flow in this 4-year relationship. And he told her, he said, you're wasting your time. And he started probing and asking some questions of her. And that's when it got really interesting. What would you say so far, Lucy?
I love that you said that he started probing, because when you're listening to it, it took her everything and not to give the entire picture of what was happening. So it took Kevin asking those questions to then find out that the man she's been dating for 4 years had already been married and had a child.
Absolutely. So he was married and he had a child because she said afterwards that, oh yeah, when I first met him, I noticed he was a great father. Lucy and I run a finishing school. Outside of this, I also do coaching and consult. So I talk to women a lot, and I've noticed this technique that sometimes the truth kind of drips out over time. But okay, that's fine. The other thing that made his spidey senses kind of go up is he asked her, he said, "Did you ever want to be married and have kids?" And she was like, "Oh, yeah, we're working on it. We're kind of, just taking time and growing together." Then he started asking her more questions, and she said, "We're actually working on having a baby right now." And he was like, "You doing what?" And he asked her, "Why would you be trying to have a child if you are not married yet?" He actually said it was selfish, which is true, ladies. And I know this is a hot button item with a lot of people, but let me just go on the record as saying, ladies, if you intentionally have children out of wedlock, you will I think you will regret it, because time and time again, what I see is women who don't require marriage in the beginning when they have the best option. They become almost like, now you got to marry me, because they've carried this burden and it's a situation that they put themselves in. And now they're almost like more, I don't want to use the word desperate, but they're pressing for it. So just take it from an older woman, get married, have your family, do things in order, because even if the marriage ends, and I'm talking, from as a divorced woman, at least I have heard the men say, if you had your children in marriage, it does garner more respect. It just does. And I hate to just say it, but I have to say it. What would you say, Lucy?
And he also made a point that being married, it's sort of like a protective, an additional protection for the woman and the child. So his concern was, why is marriage less of a commitment than being a mother? Marriage should be first, and then becoming the mother. After that, a relationship is sealed, is completed, then you become the mom. So again, he's giving her the blueprint on how to have a more successful marriage, successful family uh, 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 environment. But unfortunately, it seems that she, like a lot of modern women, and what they learn from TV, from the school, from everything else, they are thinking about having the child first without thinking about the repercussions that will have later on with her only being a single mother. Because again, having a child does not tell you that the man is going to do the right thing and marry you. In fact, some of those men start running once they find out that situation has been set up, and they feel actually betrayed a lot of times, because they feel like, we thought that we had an arrangement, we thought we had an agreement, and then all of a sudden you change your mind, and here we have a child out of wedlock.
Yeah, I want to put a pin in this one for a moment. And ladies, Lucy's right about this, and I'm sorry if maybe you didn't hear this growing up, or you think, or you've bought into the lie that maybe some celebrity who has a slew of nannies or whatever can just do it on their own. Children absolutely need both parents. And I've shared with you all here, and I don't mind to say it, at 14, at 15 and 16, the boys now live with my ex-husband. We co-parent really well, but they're both bigger than me, and we're at a point where I've done my part and they need to be with their father. I have seen women intentionally get pregnant because they wanted a child. That's incredibly selfish. And ladies, let me tell you, men are not fooled and they are not stupid. You know how to prevent it when you want to. And if you just suddenly turn up pregnant, then like Lucy said, they feel betrayed and, put into this position. Now, another thing that needs to be said is a man chooses his family on his own terms and on his own time. You cannot put the cart before the horse and just say, oops, we have a kid now, and so we're an instant family. You are not a family. You are a woman with a child. You are an unwed mother with a child. And if you, like Kevin said in this episode, the way she was talking, she is leading the relationship. She wants a child, she wants this, and it's going to happen. And then when you find yourself in a situation, like Lucy said, where the man is running for the hills because now you have to do everything on your own, you put yourself in this position. So, especially young ladies, choose wisely. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Trad Guy Travel says every shade follower needs to hear this wisdom. Oh, thank you for sharing. All right, so let's continue on, ladies. All right. The other thing that Kevin told her with this backwards plan was that she was intentionally creating a broken family. And Lucy mentioned that. I mean, one of the things I know Kevin had some very interesting titles and a lot of interesting calls, but if you really listen to him, he had a heart for the nuclear family, and he wanted the community and the family unit to get stronger. That is the basis for the community. And so women, when you go off and you do this on your own, you're just perpetuating the broken family from the beginning. It's bad enough when you start as an intact family and then unfortunately the parents can't keep it together, but you are just adding to the problem by doing that. Okay, so we've talked about the unwed mother thing. The next thing that Kevin was talking about, like Lucy said, he started pressing her about, okay, so y'all want to have this baby. Well, she said something like, well, he says he wants to live the rest of his life with me. And then Kevin was asking, well, why not just go ahead and make it legal? What is the holdup here? And she was kind of tap dancing around the answer. And Kevin basically held her feet to the fire and said, you are allowing this. As long as you let this go, it's going to continue to go on because you have not required anything more. So I wanted to talk about this, ladies, as we get older, our value, if you will. Of course, we're all valuable, but what you can require, what you can negotiate, your leverage goes down with age. It just does. Don't argue. It just does. All right. So what he was concerned about is she was already a woman in the danger zone, and then now she's in this situation where from the outside in you can look and say, this isn't going anywhere. The man's already been married, he has a child. So Kevin's point was he knows how to do this if he wants to. So when you're in a situation and you're just kind of telling yourself things that, oh, it's going to happen, he asked her flat out, has he said that he wants to marry you? And she was like, and she finally landed on no. Ladies, men mean what they say. And they also mean what they don't say. So we can't just make up things in our mind. I think within a few weeks, my man, he sat me down and he had the conversation and he said, would you marry me? Not will you, would you marry me? And he told me what his requirements were. And I had a decision to make because the kids were young. But past 35, past your prime, like I know we're not having any more children. This would be a second chance for me when the kids are up and out. But when you're in your prime, and if you really want marriage and family, and you still have the option to do that, accepting something less just wastes your time. What would you say, Lucy?
I agree. And the what you said about the older you get, your leverage decreases. While men, they can be 60 and they're still going to be able to have a younger woman, have their babies, and all that stuff. As we get older, we cannot. What we see now is that older women are still expecting the same quality of men that they would have gotten when they're 25. They don't seem to understand that it's really important that when you are given the opportunity of marrying the right man in your prime years, you take it. Otherwise, that boat has sailed. Are there exceptions to the rules? Absolutely. but why chance it? Why think that you're going to be the one that's going to be married to that high value man when you're 40, instead of just doing it while you're in that, in your prime time, to be able to give him a family as well? So yeah, I mean, it was a really interesting discussion. And he also asked, what is the fear about getting married? Um, she said she's being supportive of her partner, and the partner is a 40-year-old man. Uh, she's also, he said, you're willing to have a child out of wedlock and possibly near the future, getting married, possibly, but it's not a done deal. So that's where he started probing her about, yeah, you think that it could happen, but will it really happen? And then in the meantime, while you're having these, unsecured, maybe him saying that possibly could get married, your clock is ticking, where you could be spending that time with somebody that has already decided to make the commitment and create a family. So again, like Maggie said, a man is going to show you and tell you exactly what he wants from you. If he hasn't told you within 2 years, then that is a perfect time to start weighing your investment, because again, you're making an investment of your time with him. And he's been taking that time to vet and see whether you are the right woman to marry. Maybe you're not, so that's when you both have to make the decision to part ways, and then maybe look for different requirements on a later on another partner.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple other things, she was already living with him and believing what she wanted to believe. And sometimes, ladies, when you go all in like that and you just kind of do everything, give everything, and what is the reason that a man would move forward when he's set, he has his kid, he's been married before, and he's an older man, he knows exactly what he's doing. And so it's up to you to decide, this is a boundary for me or not. But what you can't do, and I've talked about this before, we're not going to change them, ladies. Men are who they are, and either they see you as wife material or they don't. But if you're living with a man for 4 years who has not said that he wants to marry you, like in that very direct, 'cause men are very direct when they want to say something, then you're just, what did she say? I guess I'm just here for love. And he said, welcome to therapy. But what he did admonish her on is, he said, do not have a child. Do not have a child. You're already living with this man. Do not have a child out of wedlock. And he said, I don't want you to become bitter, because when this ends, and it will, we don't need another bitter modern woman who was scorned because you continue to allow something that didn't have a future. Now, again, this is a woman who was in the danger zone, so she still has the opportunity to, have marriage and family in her early 30s, absolutely. But one thing that we're not going to get back is that time, and the years are going to continue to roll on. And what I see is women who do get to a later age, and because they didn't take advantage of the leverage that they had in their younger years, now that ship has sailed, and there is nothing like regret. It is very painful to see. So especially young ladies, hear me. Like Lucy said, we don't get a lot of opportunities. Like, I don't know about y'all, but like, I don't know who these women are that have 4 and 5 proposals. Like, I don't know anything about that, but it is rare that you meet the caliber of man that is vetting you for a wife, and you are looking at him at husband material, and there actually could be something here. Especially a man on his purpose, a man of value. You may get 1 or 2 in a lifetime. So you really need to not only be ready, but not fumble the bag when it's in front of you. And that's one of the reasons why I advise that we don't need to have hot girl summers or spend our time with foolish relationships because it takes you off of your focus. And then when you do have something glaring in front of you, you miss it because you've been looking at the wrong thing. What would you add, Lucy?
It's funny you mentioned the he's he said he's told you, has he told you he wants to marry you? And finally she said no. And then that's when he said, welcome to therapy. And he said, that is game and you know it. How many more years are you willing to go along with this? So he was really, I mean, again, for those women that did not like him, he was being that father figure, asking what a father would ask their daughter on if they ever see a relationship going nowhere. And he kept on probing. He said, why does he not want to do it the legal way? So he kept asking her, um, I wrote, I have this quote here. I knowingly decided to stay in a dead end relationship knowing he was not interested in marriage. Do you imagine? And then the scary part is that let's say she has the baby. Haven't we seen? I mean, I have seen a few instances of the woman have taking that anger, on the child, being always resentful that that child looks like the man that never married her. Why would you want to chance that?
That is so true. And Kevin talked about that. And I'd love to know what you all think. So you can, again, put your comments in the chat or you can click the link. This was a short one, but I really like what Kevin said. And it's sad, but it's true. It is selfish, ladies. And I'm just going to say it, this, I'm a PhD or, in the title, he called her this educated woman. He asked her, he was like, so you have 6 years of school and debt, and you're making this kind of a foolish decision. And ladies, I know it's easy to get offended, but that's how men are very practical. And they're looking at it like, why would you make a decision like that when you've got all this book learning, as we call it in the South, right? So you're proud of your degrees, you're proud of your papers on the wall and accomplishments. And I come from academia, big job, big degrees, I've got it. But when we can't see the forest for the trees, or we put ourselves in a box and we can't get out of it, and you're in a relationship when you may have, 1 or 2 more years left to really search and be vetted for marriage and family, and you're just living in this, situationship with this man. Because ladies, these things take time. You're not going to meet, I know what Disney says, believe me, but you're not going to meet a man and be married in 90 days and, pop out 2 kids back to back. Like, men now are very cautious and for good reason. And they are going to take their time, and you cannot nag them or scold them or give them ultimatums or give them a baby they didn't ask for. You can't do anything to change it. Men are who they are. All you can do is either get on his program if you want his name, his ring, his covering, his protection, his provision, or you exit with grace and you find someone else. But staying there and just wishing or manifesting or whatever, it's not going to happen. So when you're just spending time doing whatever, these are the women that when their eyes finally open, it is a scary sight to see because now they're mad. I did all this for you. I wasted all this time. I waited for you. I did all of this. And like Lucy said, like a father or an uncle or a brother or any man would look at this and say, he has no intentions for you. And ladies, we've got to be able to tell the difference between attention and intention. They're two very different things. Oh, all right. Let's see what you guys are saying. Anything else to add to that one, Lucy?
I like what you said about a man's attention versus intention. That should be something that maybe every young lady should have in their minds. Because again, with all this social media, with all these places where we can get attention from the world, it's not even before, when social media wasn't available, you could only get attention when you went to the gym or when you face to face. Now it's attention from everywhere. So it's important to know that attention is not the same as intention. And again, like I've said before, the the one-on-one effort that we make when we meet each other is not the same as social media. What you hear in social media from women, and also what you hear in social media, some of the advice you hear is from women that they're giving you marriage advice when they haven't been in a relationship, in a marriage like that. So that is when you have to question, who am I getting this information from? I know that there's a couple of women out there in TikTok that have a huge following. They're giving really questionable relationship advice, but that's what young women are hearing. And as young women, you need to vet the information where it comes from, because you might be hearing things from people that only want to get the followings, the money, all they they make money out of it, instead of listening to those that sometimes the truth is hard to hear, but it's, you must welcome the hard truths, because sometimes those hard truths make you kind of take a step back and say, wait a minute, she's not wrong. And maybe I should think about some of the stuff that she's saying, because, it somehow it triggered something. And if it triggers something, that should be something that you should question.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, the internet is wonderful. You all know we have ranted about social media here, but it is an excellent tool, but it's a double-edged sword. There's some really good content out there, and then there's some content that you're just like, I'm not going to get these moments or minutes or hours back of my life. But I love what Lucy said. And ladies, everybody, this is not about us or Kevin Samuels or, anything. We promote his content here, but you have to really look at who you're listening to and ask yourself, do they have the type of life experience that I want to have? And if they don't, maybe I would say consider the source, and then are they honest about what they've done right and what they've done wrong? Because none of us are perfect. This is not about saying, oh, follow me, I've done everything right. I throw myself on the hot seat every single time, and I tell y'all, there's some stuff, we're all a work in progress. But if people kind of hide behind this, like, oh, everything's great for me, I get everything that I want, I have, this man doing my bidding and that man doing my bidding, and every time you turn around, you're like, it's some, it's something's not adding up here. Just be mindful of that, because not everybody wants, like Lucy said, for you to have good outcomes. Sometimes they just want the eyeballs and the ears listening. And yes, the truth sometimes will hurt, but that's what makes us grow. If growth is what you want, you are free to go around the mountain as many times as you want to. I always say there's different types of relationships, and traditional isn't for everyone. But just take it as an older woman. I'll be 49 later this year. And when I talk to women and when we observe women who have acted like it wasn't important then, those are the main ones that are just like whatever they would do to have something real. And it actually makes me sad. So young ladies, that doesn't have to be you, but just know that you don't have as many swings at this bat as you want to. So, like Kevin used to say, you only need one, and then get out of the game. What would you say, Lucy?
I like that. It's, yeah, you only need one. And the fact that there are some women saying that they've had 3 or 4 proposals, then my skeptical mind goes, how many people have you been with? Because men are not that easy, on asking, on proposing just because. So again, saying that you've had 4 or 5 proposals, it's really, on a man's mind, it really makes them think a lot more when you say that. Why weren't you be able to seal the deal the first or the second time? So again, just be careful on being discreet when you say things just because you want to sound like you have experience in some things. That's probably not the best experience you can show, that you've had 4 or 5 proposals, but none of them became a marriage.
That is so true. I really like that. And the discretion part there. Ladies, sometimes we just say things without thinking, myself included, because we are just emotional and sometimes a little bit chaotic. But I'd love to share with you all how it comes across as, and I would love to hear from the men what you all think about when you hear a woman who has been collecting rings like infinity stones or whatever it is. And like Lucy said, you never really sealed the deal. Marriage still means something. I mean, men are very skeptical now. I see here Samuel the Infamous says, I've been married once and won't be doing that again. It's absolutely his choice. And if you believe in traditional relationships, ladies, men do the asking. Men control relationships. Women control access to our bodies. That's just what it is. So if we want what they have, we must do what they want. Likewise, because men want what we have, they have learned to do what we want. That's why they have built the world the way that it is. Because let my man tell it, if they had their way, we would be standing around a fire eating meat off of a stick. But the reason we have all these comforts and these big homes and air conditioning and big refrigerators and all that, because the ladies are like, we like these new things. We like these nice things. So men go out and they make it happen and they bring back the prize and said, do you like this? And either the lady says, yes, I like that. Or no, I don't like that. And they continue to try until they figured it out. But ladies, unfortunately, the world that we live in now has made it where women have lowered the barrier for entry so much, it just affects all of us. It just does, and, fair or not fair, that's the world that we live in now. So, I would just say we have to continue to choose wisely and vet just like we are being vetted. But back to what I was saying about these, multiple engagements. I would think, and I would love to know what the men say, a woman who has been proposed to multiple times, if you believe her, because men aren't just plopping down on one knee left and right. That just doesn't happen, right? She could be making it up, or it could be a woman that has a lower quality man that she nagged into just, all right, already, I'll marry you. Isn't that the proposal of your dreams? Or, like Lucy said, she couldn't seal the deal because she knew how to get a man, but she didn't know how to keep that man. And men are always watching, ladies, and men are always vetting us. I'm still getting tested. And so it's like, just because you may have their time and attention, or you may even have that ring, if they've got a few reservations, they're going to continue to observe. And they may be like, you know what? You presented one way, but that's not really who you are. Because I see how you are when I tell you no. I see how you are when you've had a drink. I see how you are when, someone else gets, a big ticket item. I see how you are when these different people come around. You're not who I thought I was. I'm going to go ahead and exit. And then you're just kind of like, no, no, no. So it's really important, ladies. That's what I think about the multiple engagements. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Brea says, "Oop, oh snap!" Miss Gravy says, "Hey, ladies, hope y'all are doing great. So good to see you all in here. Absolutely." Oh my goodness. What do you think about that, Lucy?
Yeah, and going back to that actual video, the fact that at the beginning, she didn't see anything wrong with first thinking about having a child before the marriage. That was a major, is a major, and will be a major red flag for behavioral issues, and also for the child. What child wants to go around life saying, I don't know my dad. I don't know what happened to my dad. And you don't know what she would tell the child about why they did not get married. So, again, that is something so, for me, it was very um, impactful because it just doesn't make sense how she was with a man for 4 years. And instead of thinking about sealing the deal, she thought about having a child, getting herself into um, more of a commitment with a child, a human being, rather than getting him to say, yeah, we're going to get married and then we will make a family.
That is so true. That is so true. I mean, ladies, and I've seen it, and I'm embarrassed to say that I know people that have done that. And I just sit there in awe when they're just kind of like, yeah, you know, I wanted a kid. And honestly, Kevin used to say this, and I never really understood him when he would say, it's gonna hurt. But he would say women are lazy. And I always used to say, oh my goodness, he's so mean, right? But now when I think about it, so you're with a man that you like. He has no intentions for you. He's just living with you. He's just, doing whatever he's doing. Maybe you like each other. That's fine. You are, you know, at a point in your life when you do need to be making decisions that make sense and moving with urgency. So instead of leaving the relationship that is a dead end relationship, learning from it, getting better, becoming the kind of woman that a man says, I can't live without her, as opposed to, yeah, I can live with her. Instead of becoming the best version of yourself, it makes more logical sense to an educated woman that I'll just have a baby. We're already living together. We'll play house. We'll be a family. In your mind, it's a family, ladies. That man never intended to have a family first. Because when a man is ready for a family, here's what I know about men. And men, please correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. But a man creates the life for himself that he wants. Men are conquerors. They want to go out there and they want to build their legacy. They go as far as they can on their own. And then they get to a point when they are ready to expand on that, and they choose the woman that is going to be the helpmate for them, to help them further their vision. And if the worst were to happen, is going to teach their legacy because she got on my program. So I know my children will follow suit because she is under me. The children will be under her. So that is how a man thinks about it. But when you just say, ooh, I like this man, and so I'm just going to go ahead and have a kid, he never established that family. And then you're always longing for, well, why doesn't he, want to be around me, or why doesn't he come pick up his kid or do all this stuff? He never established that. And ladies, it's foolish to think that a man retroactively is going to feel that sense of, this is my woman and this is my, my child, when you just kind of surprise, we're doing this, now you have to make an honest woman of me. No, they don't, because there's so many women now, and society now is just kind of like, well, another unwed mother. So just be very mindful about that. And like I said, you'll end up regretting it in the sense that you'll always have a reason why when someone asks you about it. Well, I was young. Y'all, we've heard all this. Well, I was young. Well, this happened. And it's just kind of like, but you know how not to do that when you want to? Why did this just happen? So it's a tough one, ladies, but it's really true. Let's see what Bria says. There's so much more security and confidence that came with the birth of my kids with my husband. Full stop. Full stop. It's just so, so true. Hello, the Clue Channel. Hello, everybody in here. Bria says, yeah, there's no way I'm putting my life on the line during childbirth to have a baby unmarried. Bria brings up a really good point, ladies. I know, and again, what have we talked about? This modern world, women are so safe. We have all this modern technology. We have all of these medicines, and thank God for medical progress that can save a child's life, save a mom's life. You can have a baby premature, and it can possibly still live and be like every other kid. This was not the case not too long ago, ladies. And Bria brings up a really good point. Notice how we just blow past that. Like everybody just assumes, oh, I'm going to get pregnant and have a kid, and the kid's going to be healthy, and I'm going to be fine. That wasn't always the case. So, yes, there was definitely protection in that. What would you add, Lucy?
And yes, and you bring up a good point with Bria's comment also. Imagine having a child when you're married and that child has some developmental issues, autism, or anything like that. Do you think it would be easier to do it when you're on your own than to have that support of the man next to you to bring up that child? Again, those are things that maybe when you're young, you don't think about those things. And when it happens, then it becomes a really, really tough, hard life if you want to bring a child with additional conditions on your own.
Yeah, so I think, ladies, you'll see the red thread here, as we wrap up is choose wisely in all things. Use your youth and your leverage while you have it to make the best decision for you that's going to pay off in the long run. Because if relationships are important to you, that's not going to go away. Don't believe your single friends or social media that you can do everything. You don't need a man. You can do everything by yourself. No, if you are listening to this, then you do value relationships, and it's okay to say, you know what, I want a nuclear family. Maybe I didn't have that, and I want to give that to my children. And if you are intentional about that boundary, you will choose differently. You'll almost be repelled by men. Well, you will be repelled by men that are just kind of like not serious or just want to have you around for a good time. You're like, yeah, no, I've always seen myself as a wife and a mother. So you exclusively date those caliber of men. And so when I say, ladies, you don't need hot girl summer or any of these, wild and crazy experiences, it's not about being a prude, but this is why, women were protected. Because I had a conversation with my man earlier about women who choose to wait for marriage. And this is not about being a virgin or non-virgin, but he said something to me that was interesting. He said, when a man wants a younger woman, a woman who's pure, who's unexperienced, it's not just the physical aspect. It is the amount of experiences and relationship baggage and damage that she does not have. So it's not just being a virgin in her body, but Lucy's talked about this. You can take her places. She hasn't already seen everything. She hasn't already done everything. She actually appreciates the gifts that are given. She actually appreciates the places that she's taken. She is coachable and teachable because maybe she doesn't know any better. And when I heard him say this, I was like, a light bulb went off for me, because I know sometimes we, talk about age gap dating, or you would wonder why an older man would want a younger woman, but it makes so much sense now. Because if everywhere you turn, yeah, been there, done that, or you're like every other guy, or you're going to do the same thing to me, like a man, he's paying the price and he hasn't done anything. So just be mindful of that. If you only date the caliber of men that you see are husband material, even if the relationship ends, hopefully you've learned from that and you've garnered some skills that you can put into use in the next relationship. But if all you're around are fun boys, or you let yourself be the fun girl, that becomes kind of who you are, then you have these reflexes and you just start doing things that are familiar to you. And then when you get around the caliber of man that is serious, you're lost because like all your little tricks, don't work because you haven't really put time into building something real. So just be mindful of that, ladies. Anything else to say as we wrap up, Lucy?
I loved the fact that you said that some women become repelled when they're around men that are not at the caliber of men that you're looking for. And that is so true. I remember when the time between my divorce and my husband, in between the few dates I went on, you knew exactly the type of man that was worth your time, or that at the end of that date you're like, no thanks, it was nice meeting you, and there wasn't going to be a next time. You do, it's like an internal thing, that it's instinct when you know that whether a man is going to be a good father to your children, or a good husband, or is going to be one that's going to play with your emotions, and one that doesn't want anything serious. You do become repelled with men that are not serious about the relationship. At least I know exactly what you meant when you said that, because I remember it brought, it brought memories, and I'm like, yes, I know exactly what she means, when you just don't want anything to do with that person after that one date.
It's true, ladies, and men pick up on that too. They know the type of women that they can play games with, the women that will fall for the bait. They see them a mile away and they're just like, ah, yeah, this one's easy. And then they know the type of women that are like, oof, yeah, I better not even try anything because, yeah, she's not playing around. And you don't have to be loud or, obnoxious about it, but the way that you carry yourself. And last little hard lesson I'll share with you all, it's going to be harder as you get older, especially if you allowed certain things um, in your past. Meaning, if you dated a whole bunch of fun boys and you really didn't require, let's say this episode, Kevin was talking to this woman that is, 30 years old, living with a man, and with no commitment or marriage or anything like that. And then, you say, okay, I'm never doing that again. And you have a long list of 10, 12, whatever things that the next man who gets, any of your time is going to have to climb over. I'm sorry, y'all. Thane Mithra has entered the chat. Thane, thank you so much. I have had the absolute pleasure of chatting with you, but thank you. What does Thane say? How about many ladies make bad decisions in their prime and expect the best man who have made the best decision in their prime? This is exactly what I was talking about. Oh my goodness. How can I say this? Somebody that I know is now looking for something serious. And for years, she allowed herself to be of fun. And now, her words, I realize my worth and value now. And that's a great awakening for her. But the problem is, ladies, you're choosing, like Thane says, you want a man who is now the best version, like he's made the best version of himself. He's in his prime, and you admittedly, are not. And you've given yourself to lesser caliber men who did not you did not require anything from. That's why, I'm ranting about this unwed mother thing, because ladies, especially when you do that and it's just kind of like, oh, I wanted a baby, and then your hair is on fire because you're like, no, somebody's got to marry me now. And men are looking like, well, you didn't require that before. Why should I have to pay a higher price? So I'm telling you that, ladies, so that when you get to our age, when you're, in your 40s and 50s, you will at least look back at the decisions that you made and say, you know what, I can still hold my head up high. I gave my best. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but I went in with good faith effort, and I was the best wife I could be, and with what I knew at the time. And I will be the best mother that I can be. And I will always, always, I always speak highly of my ex-husband, to the boys, and do what's best for them. Thane, I cannot thank you enough. You are always, always so, so generous. So, oh my goodness. All right, Lucy. Well, I don't see anybody in the chat. We have been going for an hour here. If everybody would please put Thane in the chat. And Lucy, do you have any words to close us out?
And the men are always watching. So, and this is example is Thane. He was very quiet, and then when something hit the spot, he comes in and says, "This is what I think," and that's how men are. Once they see something that they deem that requires either clarification or guidance, they come in, they tell you how it is, and then they walk away. Thank you, Thane, for that very generous contribution. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thane, you are my number one supporter. You have been so incredibly generous, and you come by our little piece of the internet and you support us so consistently. I am so incredibly grateful. Thank you. And I've gotten your messages and I hear you loud and clear. I'm actually going to talk to Lucy after this. All right, everyone. Well, the Wives Club is here for you usually every Friday night. I went to the symphony yesterday. It was wonderful. The Spelman and Morehouse Glee Club did a performance with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra celebrating Black History Month. So we moved it to tonight. Another one. Another one. You know what? I tell you, our men, and I love our men, they just like drop out of the clouds, like, and I love that. I absolutely love that. Thank you, Brandon Eljet. The men are always watching. Yes. Introvert says, we have another one. Introvert Boricua says, well said, Lucy. We are watching even if we're being quiet. Okay, you know what? Look at this. Bria says, the men are in the bushes. Ladies, don't believe me. The men are always watching. And so just remember that. And they're here supporting, and we are so grateful. I will say I appreciate your protection, the way you all cover us and our channel, the way that you make this a safe space, the way that you support us and even correct us if we get off of track, and you give us feedback in private. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We listen to the men here. Kevin's channel was a men-centric channel, and we have a lot that we can learn, and we will continue to share it with you all here. Yes, Thane is so generous. So yes, everybody, good night. We will see you all next week on the Wives Club. We'll always be reviewing a Kevin Samuels episode and giving you our take. And of course, thank you, Thane, our stream sponsor. We love you all, and until the next time.